So, Mark Gatiss is the master of dark and disturbing characters. Well, he's actually sitting right here as I'm saying this, so I better check. He's nodding. Is that okay? We're all right with that?
Yes, so I'm here.
You'll know him from The League of Gentlemen, maybe. Creepy Royals, Doctor Who, Sherlock as well.
Now he's playing one of the most famous ghosts of all, Jacob Marley, in a stage version of A Christmas Carol. Oh, my goodness. You like the darker side, don't you?
So they say, yes. I've realised I'm one of those people who's guilty of bringing Christmas early.
You've done it,
It's
yeah.
coming earlier every year, and here I am doing it again.
Tell us about this latest project, then.
Well, it's a lifelong ambition of mine to do A Christmas Carol and to play this part. Every interview I used to do, I would drop hints about wanting to play Jacob Marley, and no one ever did anything about it. So I've finally done my own version on stage. But to maintain my reputation as the Prince of Darkness, I am emphasising it's really sort of untrumpeted history as a ghost story. Not just it remains, a wonderful celebration of optimism and the triumph of the human spirit, but fundamentally it's a ghost story, and the four ghosts that Ebenezer Scrooge encounters are a huge part of the classic English ghost story tradition.
What's going on here? What
this
are we
is
watching
myself,
here?
Nicholas Farrell, in rehearsal the other day. That's me.
With the clunking chain.
With the clunking change, yeah. Which having wanted to do it since I was 5 years old, I suddenly have to negotiate.
The chain business.
It's not as easy as it looks. Yes, there we are. Yeah.
It looks like you're pulling it like you're walking along with a small dog or something.
No, that's a ledger.
Oh, it's the ledger. It is.
It's a ledger. It looks like a tin of biscuits at the moment.
Now, I always found A Christmas Carol absolutely terrifying anyway.
Oh, good.
I just always found it a really, really frightening story. Less so of the kind of optimistic, it's a wonderful thing. The bit that always stayed with me was all the scary stuff.
Well, that's good. You can come.
I'm allowed.
Well, it's an interesting thing because I saw the Albert Finney film when I was 4 years old, and it profoundly affected me. It literally has never left me. And that sort of, as I say, that sort of element of a thrill, is as much part of Christmas to me as everything else, as all the sort of optimism and the fun of it. But I think various versions over the years can, you play that up. The Muppet version, which is extremely good.
My favourite.
Actually has some very frightening ghosts in it. The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, absolutely petrifying. So, we're not going to try and, frighten the pants off everybody because it's still A Christmas Carol, but we're trying to emphasise those aspects a lot more.
So a modern audience would see and hear things perhaps that you're bringing out things that haven't been seen before.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very faithful adaptation because it's a strange thing, I think, that sometimes when a story is so familiar, people kind of run a million miles from it. And there's lots of parts of the original story which are very rarely done. They're sort of glossed over. Some of Dickens's biggest kind of social conscious stuff about the poor law and homelessness and starvation, which is sadly still extremely relevant, is kind of glossed over. So it's about trying to find those things again, and also to incorporate lots of lovely stage effects. Some of them very old-fashioned because the Victorians knew how to do it.
It's not what you came here to talk about today, but you're a sci-fi fan, aren't you?
That's right.
William Shatner's going to space.
I know.
He's going to space today.
Absolutely amazing. No, he's going to the edge of space.
Okay, okay. You're being picky,
Can
but
I
yes.
also say,
What that, Captain?
for 10 minutes.
Yeah?
He's going for 10 minutes.
I know, but he's 90.
Yeah, he's not.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
There's something full circle about this, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know when. I was watching it in the late '60s, early '70s, and who would have thought? Who would have thought that reality and fiction? It's just this amazing mashup.
Captain Kirk is finally going into space. It's fantastic, but it is also very strange because, if I may be political for a moment, I think those billionaires should try and concentrate on solving Earth's problems rather than going into space, don't you? Not William Shatner.
No, I mean,
I want him to go.
I think that's a really interesting point. But I think one of the things he's said is he wants to look out of the porthole. I don't think it's called a porthole, is it? A window. and look at Earth.
Space window.
Space window, is it? Yeah. And look at Earth and go, we need to look after this. So, I mean, I think he is also with that message.
Yeah. Well, going back to Christmas Carol, interestingly, one of the things that Dickens was going to write a sort of pamphlet about the state of the country, and he realised that he could do a lot more in the form of this story than he ever could by standing in a pulpit and lecturing people. And I suppose in a way William Shatner is trying to do the same.
Maybe.
He can say, look how fragile our Earth is, by saying, look, Captain Kirk's in space, than by trying to make a political point. You know?
That's quite a good connection you made.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you did very well there.
Trying to swerve it back round.
Morning. And when you are looking at projects and choosing the next thing to do, are you ever motivated by the political situation, what you see around you, the world that we live in?
It's an interesting point. I mean, it's, you know, one of my favourite films is a Preston Sturges film called Sullivan's Travels, about this director who has a fit of conscience. He makes sort of fun films, and then he wants to make this project called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which is where the other film gets its name from. He wants to do something. And through, it's a very funny film, through various things he ends up wrongly imprisoned, and he's on a chain gang, and one day they get a day off and they're dragged to a cinema and they watch a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and the audience, he just looks at the audience all just having a good time, and he thinks, no, I think I should just make entertainment. And I sometimes feel like that in a way. It's like, it's so difficult because the world is in such a state. And, you know, when we're rehearsing our show and you come outside and there are queues for food banks, and it feels like you're actually sometimes living in A Christmas Carol. But at the same time, unless you're going to man the barricades, I think you can only do what you do your own thing. And so by trying to do something like this, I think, and taking people out of themselves for Christmas, I think that's the best I can do, I'm afraid.
I know you've got a couple of other projects as well going on, haven't you? On the,
yes.
Darker, scarier thriller on BBC Two, and a project for Sky as well.
Well, it's funny. By accident of pandemic, I've got the scariest, ghostliest, Christmasiest year I've ever had. I've got another ghost story for Christmas, which is M.R. James's The Mezzotint. And I've written and directed The Amazing Mr. Blunden for Sky, which is also on at Christmas. So I've got 3 big Christmas ghosts happening.
And why?
It's
Because,
perfect.
Why because of the pandemic? Is that because you?
They were moved.
Certainly
the M.R. James was moved, and Christmas Carol was supposed to be last year. So it's all kind of suddenly. It looks like it's planned, but it wasn't.
Looks like you've been working really, really hard.
Yes. Yes.
Have you found yourself? We've had quite a few sort of writers, artists, musicians come in and saying, well, they've all had very different pandemic experience. Some of them find it actually quite useful, you know, time, space, thoughts. What about you?
A sort of game of two halves, I would say. There was, you know, everyone always thinks, oh, if only I had time to write that novel. And then about halfway through the first lockdown, I rang Stephen Moffat and said, you know, who knew that a global pandemic was not conducive to the muse? I was sort of
dry up?
Paralysed, yeah. And then it kind of got better. I've done quite a bit of filming, and it's been all right. But you know, everyone should be very kind to themselves. It's not just the same as having a sabbatical. No. You know, people are just struggling to pay the rent and to eat and work out what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. I think a lot of people, though, have recalibrated, which is if we take anything good from all this, I think it should be that you actually slightly look at things differently and go, my priority is I should ring old friends more. I should reconnect with people.
Have you done that?
And that's
I have,
yours.
yeah, on Zoom, nice. Obviously. You know, it's all fallen off now. We're all sick to death of Zoom.
Got to stick to it. Got to stick to it. Lovely seeing you this morning.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Christmas Carol opens at Nottingham Playhouse at the end of the month before heading to London's Alexandra Palace. That'll be in November. Mark, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's scary. Can't wait to see it. I do say, well, there's the headlines are coming right up.